Ito na, ito na. Ito na yung penultimate discussion natin sa Philippine politics. Now, one of the interesting figures who has been more or less out, I mean, hindi naman out, but above the fray-ish, pagdating dito sa Bardagulan, sa pagitan ng Dutertes and Marcoses, is someone who actually has a lot at stake here because by some estimates or by some data, he could be the front runner already or could become the front runner at some point pagdating sa 2028 election. And of course, we're talking about Senator Rafi Tulfo. Of course, Senator Rafi Tulfo was a little bit trending recently dun sa back and forth niya with Galvez, with former General Galvez, Secretary Galvez, dito sa issue ng yung accusations niya na may corruption daw dun sa, 'di ba, ito yung demobilization na ginagawa, 'di ba, sa Mindanao, etc. We can talk about that also in but you could see na in fairness to Secretary Galvez, I appreciated him saying immediately, do not say na we're corrupt right away. Na hindi pwede you jump into, hindi ito yung show mo, sir. Diba? This is a Senate hearings and all. And then nakakatawa yung itsura nila ni Jingo Estrada tsaka si Aimee, nakaganyan lang sila. Pala kayo dyan, parang, you should watch the video. It's an interesting video. But my point is, okay, we can talk about the pros and cons of this whole Tulfo approach. And I interviewed him separately, guys can check it out. But let's talk about Tulfo. I mean, he's the major threat to a return of the Dutertes, right? I mean, everyone is focused on PI, Chacha, Romualdez, BBM, but by all indications, pag sentimento ng tao tinignan mo, pag mga surveys ang tinignan mo, he keeps on rising. He was 11% in SWS the other year. Now he's 25% sa ibang survey. And someone was telling me he's actually already number 1 in some of the surveys that have not been released yet. Hindi na lang namin sabihin sino mga yan. All right? But just to remind you guys, last year, December, itong kaibigan natin, si Secretary Llamas, he said that may nakita siyang survey, you said Pulse Asia in this case, na actually Lenny and Bam and all were doing well. Na-leak ito 2-3 weeks later, and that was exactly the point. Actually, Lenny and Bam were doing pretty well. So, so on the record, you have been quite correct when you said, may alam kang data, hindi mo lang pwede sabihin. So I will trust you on this because I saw the previous time you were absolutely correct about it. So let's talk about Tulfo. I mean, where do you stand on this issue?
Well,
Well,
dapat maunawaan natin.
sorry, what's your analysis? Sorry, not stand.
Dapat maunawaan natin saan siya nanggaling, no? Isumbong mo kay Tulfo. Tulfo in action, no? Kahit hindi niya natulungan yung daang-daang libong mga Pilipino, yung kanyang ethos, yung kanyang mantra na isumbong mo kay Tulfo, karamihan ng mga Pilipino kahit sa mga barangay, yun ang maririnig mo, isusumbong kita kay Tulfo, 'di ba? Pag merong mga mas makapangyarihan o mas mataas sa iyo, tapos nagrereklamo yung mas mababa, yun yung kanyang expression, isusumbong kita kay Tulfo. So it has become a household brand, yung isumbong kita kay Tulfo. Kaya hindi nakakagulat na yung kanyang party list, no? First time tumakbo sa party list, nag-number 1. Yung first time niya tumakbo sa Senate, nag-number 2 siya, no? At ngayon, yung kanyang kapatid, yung Erwin Tulfo, ay nagna-number 1 sa survey, no? Dahil yung kanyang pinanggalingan, isumbong mo kay Tulfo, Tulfo in action, no? Nakuha yung imagination ng mga tao. For lack of a better example, parang si Digong as Punisher, no? As Punisher in Davao City. Pero ito, medyo nationwide na kaagad.
Na actually, mas sikat pa kay Digong before. We had this discussion with Leloy. Diba sabi ni Leloy, well, before we were aware of Digong, there were already the Tulfo brothers and they were already in the house. Actually, the surprise is nauna si Digong sa political.
Pero ito, sila hindi tumatakbo. No? Yung unang nakilala yung Tulfo, tapos ngayon yung Tulfo brothers. Actually, magkakapatid sila lahat, no? Tsaka yung sister na naging secretary ng tourism. So hindi sila tumatakbo. Ngayon tumatakbo na sila with a vengeance, di ba? With a vengeance. Kaya ikalawa, medyo may organic sense naman si Tulfo, organic political sense na bagamat mataas siya, bagamat very compelling yung kanyang political narrative, nagpipigil din siya. Dahil alam niya, this early, pag ikaw yung tumaas, lahat hihingi sa iyo ng resources at lahat babanatan ka. Kaya medyo, kung obserbahan mo, medyo calculated yung kanyang atake. Halimbawa, una niyang binanatan yung mga bilyar, no? Which also a lot of people loves to hate. Diba? Pero tingin ko, pinanggalingan rin niya, may mga nagsumbong sa kanya about the billiards. yung inaagawan ng lupa, yung inaagawa mga magsasaka na marginalized sa mga subdivision, no? So meron ding pinanggalingan yung kanyang banat, no? Hindi lang siya pure calculation. Sa combination of calculation, no, na pwede niyang banatan yung mga bilyar na hindi naman niya guguluhin pa yung political narrative niya, pero at the same time, merong mga lumapit sa kanya na isinusumbong yung mga bilyar. Yun yung una niyang tinira.
So shrewd siya. He's very shrewd. I mean, I actually
Oh,
asked him
may
about being,
sarili siyang
yeah,
no? May sarili siyang organic intellect, no? Na
yeah, yeah.
nagagamit niya
Organic
sa,
intellectual
sa
siya in that
Senate.
style.
Wala siyang mga researchers, wala siyang mga advisors, no? May pagka lone wolf 'yan, no? Pero in spite of that, he's doing quite well, no? Doon sa kanyang plano, no? Whatever that is, no? Yun yung isang nagagawa niya. Halimbawa, nung nakaharap niya yung napakatalino at saka napaka-veteranong Senator Pia Cayetano, medyo natahimik si Pia nung
Right.
nilabasan niya yung, na sinasabi ni Pia, wala namang ebidensya niyan eh. No, di pinakita niya performance politics, di
Galing,
ba?
performative,
Oo.
di ba? Ganun, ganun,
Hindi
ganun siya.
hindi ko
Pang
sigurado kung
TikTok
ano nga
talaga eh.
nakasulat doon, pero yun nagmarka, di
Pag
ba?
ako nga, zoom in ko,
Di
ano
ba?
ba? Baka naman,
Nagmarka,
ano
di
lang
ba?
yan. Stamp,
Wala namang
stamp.
lalapit doon para tignan kung ano naman nun, pero di ba?
Pag lumapit ka, lalo ka niyang gaganyan.
Diba? It served the purpose, di ba? At saka medyo natameme si Pia, di ba? Medyo natameme, nilingon-lingon si Pia. Di na alam kung ano nangyayari, di ba? So okay, tapos ito yung PCSO, di ba? Nung kinatay niya yung PCSO, di ba? Dahil maraming mga Pilipino, ito na lang yung parang legal wetting eh. Di ba? Ito na lang yung legal wetting, STL. Tapos dadayain mo pa yung mga tao. Imagine mo yung dating ng Tulfo brand dun sa mga bumibili ng loto. 'Di ba? Okay na okay siya ron. Kaya bagamat hindi siya masyadong sosobra, no? Yung mga dominant issue sa bansa, hindi siya sumasama masyado, chacha, etc., no? Ganyan nga itong away, etc. Hindi siya sumasama masyado diyan. Pero pili yung kanyang pinipili na mga issues na hindi naman siya totally mawawala. At merong mga sektor na nagmamarka siya beyond 2025 going into 2028, no? Kaya hindi ko siya i-underestimate. Hindi ko siya i-underestimate, no?
Right. No, no, definitely none of us are underestimating him. And speaking of actually definitely not underestimating, clearly napansin ko, marami mga DDS ngayon biglang ina-attack si Tulfo. And nakita ko marami sa mga DDS
Vloggers. Totoo yan. Totoo
online,
yan.
they go after anyone who attacks Tulfo. And I saw they also attack me because they, perceive me of not being tough enough on Tulfo. And all. I mean, personally, as I said, I have my own concerns sometimes with the, I ask him, point blank, the Tulfo way of justice, how is this coming in? I think, it's sometimes hate, it's sometimes miss, but, generally, I think has a good intention. Now, what I found, of course, interesting with the criticism against Digong is that it comes from a camp that was okay with a former president who was openly calling for extrajudicial killings en masse. So parang, galit ka sa Tulfo way kasi hindi niya nirespeto yung due process. Sabay okay ka kay Digong. I mean, like, that's like crazy. Like it's like galit ka sa yung Vios mo na may pollution pero okay ka dun sa Lamborghini na you know what I'm saying? Gas guzzler. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I just found that very weird, if not hypocritical. Nevertheless, I mean, shouldn't we also be concerned na if ever he becomes the next president, baka next level siyang ganito na baka maging masyadong performative, baka masyadong demagogic, 'di ba? Maging ganyan-ganyan. Kasi that's a double-edged sword. It
Tama,
works.
tama.
You get what I'm
Tama
saying?
dahil
You have to be fair to also criticism because this person is still not the president. But if ever this person becomes the president and then ganito yung approach niya, imagine giving national speeches, kalaban mo siya, 'di ba? Ang diling dudurugin ka ng mga 'yan eh, 'di ba?
pwede kasing isipin ng mga iba na parang wala itong experience in modernity, 'di ba? Wala siyang he's also a populist in a way
Trial
like
by
Digong.
publicity, some would say.
Like Digong. Pero ang kaibahan siguro niya, populist siya without the extrajudicial killings, no? Yun naman
True, he
yung
never
isa.
supported that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yun yung isa, no? Pero yung iba kasi mas tinitingnan nito kung maglalaban Duterte and Tulfo, no? Magle-lesser evil sila. 'Di ba? Ganun yung Unless merong merong black swan na sumulpot, no? Parang may bago ka na mas reformist, mas modern, no, etc. Pero for now, parang itong dalawa yung nagtutunggalian eh. Kaya binabanatan na siya nung mga pro-Sara. Dahil dama na nila na threat ito eh.
Threat talaga siya. Oh,
Threat na siya
absolutely.
eh. Dun sa kay Sara. Sabi nga ng lolo ko, pag namumunga yung puno ng mangga, binabato na. So, binabato na si Tulfo ngayon, no? Kaya, pero, marami rin naman na kinakabahan dahil maraming question mark eh. Di ba? Lalo na in relation to modernity, which is checks and balance, which is
Rule of
civil
law,
liberties,
yeah,
human
evidence-based
rights,
discussion, yeah.
etc. No? Medyo question mark pa siya. Pero
Ako,
wala naman siya sa history niya, wala naman siyang yung dark side, no, ni Digong, no, which is yung EJK, no, yung ganun na klase na kwan.
I mean,
Mas mga binabanat sa kanila ay ah, yung mga kaso na tinatapon sa kanila, bigamy, 'di ba? Yun yung mga kwan na baka hindi naman issue kay Big R.
ay, kay Real Big R, medyo hooligan eh, di ba? This is a family-oriented show.
Okay ba yung transference? Okay ba yung transference?
Ayun naman tayo, nag-Freudian transference sa therapist nung nagta-transference. Pang-therapist din ano ko ha. Hindi,
Oo.
ito. Ito.
Inunahan na kita. Baka ibato mo sa akin eh. Kaya
Hindi, actually,
pinasok ko na.
no, yun nga, because, kasi yun nga, nami-misunderstood tayo na, ako naman, where I'm coming from is, I just find it so hypocritical to question Tulfos on the due process question and then sabay suporta kay Digong. I just find it like, wala kang moral ascendancy whatsoever to question the Tulfos if you're okay with what Digong said. Having said that, ako rin naman, I raised that question with Rafi Tulfo na, akin lang naman, siguro, on a more positive note, the glass half full is that mukhang may learning curve siya, di ba? Anyone who knows him, I'm talking about Rafi Tulfo. I don't know about the other brothers. Hindi ko kilala si Ben, hindi ko kilala si Mon. So I cannot speak for them. Si Erwin lang medyo kilala ko at saka si Rafi. So it will be unfair naman na ano mo silang lahat sa isang basket. Yeah, they're Tulfo brothers, but each brother has their own dynamics, di ba? As far as Rafi is concerned, my understanding from people who know him and people who are good people who know him, and also a lot of these people, is that he has learning curve. If he makes mistakes, he recalibrates. He's of course proud shy. I don't think he'll admit it openly, but I think behind the scenes, he's someone who has a certain level of self-awareness and self-correctiveness. Now, whether that's sufficient enough for us to say perfect siya for 2028, ibang usapan yan. But for me, the very least, he opens up the race. And at the very least, he opens up the space for a third candidate. And then there's also the possibility of, I heard some crazy ideas about him possibly, who knows, teaming up with Riza Ontiveros. That would not be totally out of this world. Because alam ko, magandang relationship ni Tulfo with Vico Soto, with Riza, with a lot of progressive people out there that people don't know about. Diba? So there's also the behind the scenes part, I would say the more progressive, not leaning, but openness to Rafi Tulfo that people are not appreciating. But again, I'm just saying this, guys, kasi alam ko marami siyang, parang may mga, kunyari, isipin mo, isa kang resident ng Pasig, let's say, and then may kaso ka, you go to Rafi, he will like refer it and then coordinate it with Vico Soto and then i-resolve yan sa court. You get what I'm saying? Like, I heard that these cases are going out there. Do you know, maybe you have better intelligence than me on this issue. I don't know. But this is what I've heard, including from progressive friends. Hindi ito yung mga operators. Ito mga progressive friends. Pero since ikaw operator, ikaw tatanungin ko anong alam mo dyan.
Ako.
Ayan na naman tayo.
Well, ang tingin ko, he's still a work in progress, no? Yun yung kwan. At so far, yung cup half full, half empty, medyo hindi naman siya kulang. No, hindi naman siya kulang. At
more full than empty, in fairness.
At sinusubukang tignan where he's coming from. At tinitignan ko rin, sino ba yung kanyang makakalaban? Kung ito yung kanyang makakalaban, maraming mga tao na siya na yung pupuntahan kesa sa isang Duterte. No, yun yung kwan. Unless may sumulpot na ibang black swan, no, na mas
Dark horse.
yung bandera
Dark horse.
ng modernity, no. Yun yung kwan. Kaya malay ko baka ikaw tatakbo ka.
Ronald, what's with you and modernity? Parang modernizing elite modernity.
yung kasi
Pagod ka na sa medieval
pinag-uusapan ni Lenoy eh. Di ba? Yun yung
Ah,
pinag-uusapan nyo ni Leloy eh. Lagi
yung mga Max
modernizing
Weber ka
ito,
kasi,
et
nagma-Max
cetera, et
Weber ka ng
cetera.
modernity eh.
Ako kasi, ano ko eh, socialist ako eh. Di, tapos yung kaibigan mo, nagbuo na ng Socialist Party.
Oo,
Di
oo, ininbitan niyo pa ako. Ako sabi ko
ba?
socialist lang ako, hindi socialist. Pasosyalan lang.
Hindi ako kontento sa modernity lang, no? Kaya,
But I like it. Medyo Max Weber-ish. Hindi masyadong Hegel. So okay lang yan. Thank you so much, Sir Ronald Llamas. Let's go to the last episode kasi ito, ikaw ang nag-recommend yan. Pag-usapan natin ang simbahan ng Pilipinas, but we're not talking about catechism or religious issues. I think neither of us are competent in that matter, especially you. But let's talk about the West Philippine Sea issue. Interesting, you see religious groups right now also pitching in on the issue of West Philippine Sea, which is of course close to our hearts. Maraming salamat, Secretary Ronald Llamas, for that fantastic discussion. Baka matawag tayo ni Tulfo, biglang matulfo tayong dalawa. Okay, transition na tayo.
salamat din.